Today, I have quite literally got a world exclusive for you. This past week, it was my massive privilege to interview someone I grew up seeing on TV constantly in the 90s. A member of one of the most important bands in the British indie scene of that decade, Ocean Colour Scene. This is bassist Damon Minchella, who was a founding member of the group and played on all their 90s records. He was with the band until 2003, when he left under, until now, mysterious circumstances. In our interview, he details for the first time ever exactly what happened in the backstage fight after his final gig with Ocean Colour Scene at Castlebar in Ireland. After which, he walked out of Ocean Colour Scene and never returned. In our chat, he also shares some great memories of his time working with Oasis, his time on the Help album working with Paul McCartney, and plenty of other fascinating insights into the world behind the curtain of the British music scene in the 90s. And he should know, because he was there, right in the very centre of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm excited to introduce you to the bass player in one of the most important indie bands of the 90s, Ocean Colour Scene. Damon Minchella, welcome to the channel.
Hello, James.
Now, I understand that just as Oasis were kind of inspired by seeing the Stone Roses in the very early days, that it was kind of a similar story with you guys. Can you tell us a little bit about that story of how you guys were inspired to form the band?
Three of us were actually in the band, and we got guest list tickets to watch the Roses in Birmingham. The album had just come out, and Steve, who obviously joined the band, was there as well because he actually bought a ticket, and Steve was there as well. So we were all at the same gig, but we were, three-quarters Ocean Colour Scene already.
What were you guys originally called then?
So we were called the Fanatics. Terrible name. Yeah. So, I mean, Ocean Colour Scene's a pretty shit name, to be fair.
Well, where did that name come from? Where did OCS come from?
It came from all four of us being really stoned in a library because we couldn't think of a good band name. So we just got loads and loads of books out and just wrote words down. Ended up putting those three words together and we thought, these are really good. But then literally refused telling anyone what the name of the band was because we thought it was a bit daft.
That is cool. So what's your favourite Ocean Colour Scene album?
Well, my manager's John Dawkins, I'll give him a shout out in case he listens to this. He always insists that Marching Already is the best, but probably Moseley Shoals, probably just because of what it meant. But I think the B-Sides album is a bit of a treat as well. How the hell did we release a collection of songs we'd already released and loads of people bought it because they already had them?
B-Sides, C-Sides and Free Rides, something like that?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. It's a really good record as well, actually. But long-winded answer, probably Moseley Shoals.
That's my girlfriend's favourite album of the entirety of the 90s.
Favourite album as well. Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to tread on potentially thin ice here. There are a couple of rumours about what happened to cause you to quit Ocean Colour Scene. There's rumours about a hand injury forcing you out, and there's also rumours about a massive backstage fight. So am I allowed to ask about this?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, my hand injury came way after I'd left Ocean Colour Scene. And I've got this big mad scar here where I severed all my tendons. And I couldn't play for 6 months, which is why I ultimately ended up with a PhD in music, but that's another story. Now, the reason why I left, and there was a backstage fight if you regard a tour bus as being a stage. And it wasn't massive because I didn't fight back. I'm going to be dead honest here. The drummer, Oscar, already been in prison for rioting and actual bodily harm before we knew him. We didn't know that. He was quite a violent chap, but we didn't know at first. He'd already twatted me in the face once for having an argument with him. He's the sort of guy who wouldn't argue verbally, but physically. And then we were on tour in Ireland with North Atlantic Drift. And I was kind of thinking about leaving anyway, because I was getting a little bit fed up with the attitude of the singer and the drummer, not Steve, the guitarist. There was too many mandolins and harmonicas, not enough electric guitars. creeping into the music. So I was kind of thinking 15 years of the band, I'm probably going to leave anyway. And then it just sparked off on the tour bus because the drummer had a habit of ordering these ridiculous things on the rider that no one wanted, and he would just take them back and give them to his mates, like several bottles of brandy, blah, 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 blah. And you think, oh, riders, they're free. No, the band pays for them. So I just said to him at the end of this gig, which had gone kind of pretty good, I was like, mate, will you stop fucking doing that? You're just spending our money for presents for your mates. And he just fucking bang, knocked my tooth out. So I said to the tour bus driver, I said, stop the fucking bus, get my suitcase and got off. Flagged a lift down in the middle of nowhere in Ireland to the nearest village that I could find, stayed in the B&B and got a cab to the airport.
Holy shit.
Got back home, sent them a text 2 days later saying, maybe we can work this out, maybe I won't come back. Didn't get a reply. 5 days later, I got a lawyer's letter saying they were suing me for leaving the band.
Blimey.
That is what happened.
Holy shit.
And I did actually think about, because there was loads of witnesses, and I thought, he's assaulted me twice now. And this time he's knocked my tooth out. I thought, you know what, I might even call the police. And I thought, no, because he's got kids, I'm not going to do that. So I didn't. And then I didn't really speak about it until now. There you go.
Right. Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing. That's a revelation. Wow.
Yeah. And the thing is, enough water's gone under the bridge. I mean, I never speak to the singer and the guitarist, and singer and the drummer anymore, but me and Steve get on great. So we occasionally call each other and text each other. So yeah, it's fine. I prefer people who argue with words as opposed to fists.
Yeah, fair enough. Me too.
It's a much better way to exist in life, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, you were with Ocean Colour Scene for a total of about 14 years, is that right?
15 precisely.
You were with Paul Weller for 12, I think?
95 till 2007. Yeah, 12 years, yeah. I haven't seen Paul or spoken to him since 2007. Since I left, basically.
Right, so ties were kind of generally cut.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to go into detail about Paul, but he was best described by Steve White as a great bunch of people. So I think we can park that one there and people can read into that what they like.
Right,
but
fair play.
On the plus side, an incredible musician and songwriter and an incredible performer. So it was Paul Weller, then The Who, then Aerosmith doing 3 shows in Japan. So early to mid 2000s. In Japan, Paul Weller's son, Nat, was a big Aerosmith fan. So it'd been arranged that Paul's son could meet the lead singer of Aerosmith, whose name completely escapes me.
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler. So when we finished sound checking, so Aerosmith's people have brought Steven onto the stage to meet Paul's son, who's come out of the back of the stage. And we get all of us, the band and crew, motioned to go towards Steve to talk to him. Obviously, he's a bit befuddled and maybe jet lagged. I don't know, he's probably done a lot of acids. He just sees in the old days, sees a group of people walking towards him across the stage. Bear in mind, he's standing towards the back of the stage, the front of the stage, which goes into the audience. We've got all our monitor wedges, the black monitor wedges. He is now edging away from us. We're walking towards him. He then goes arse over tit, over the wedge, off the 20-foot stage, and breaks like about 4 ribs. So they have to cancel their 3 headline slots. The day I was part of a mob that inadvertently broke Stephen Tyler's ribcage.
That is random.
It is very random, yeah.
So I've got here, ripped off your website,
okay,
a ridiculous list of people you've worked with. Mm-hmm. Liam Gallagher, Richard Ashcroft, The Who, Paul McCartney, Paul Weller, Paolo Nutini, Jimmy Page, Amy Winehouse, and of course OCS. Mm-hmm. That is insane. How did you end up working with like Paul McCartney and Jimmy Page?
Well, the McCartney and Jimmy Page thing was through Weller.
Was it what was the project you played with McCartney on?
It was the War Child thing.
It was Help. Ah,
yeah. And that was such a good day. And we ended up. Paul had written a new song because it was going to be the B-side, and while everyone else was getting absolutely monged after the main track, Paul was like, oh, "Hey, to me and Steve, like, I've got this new song. I think if we jam it really quickly, we could put it down and it'd be like the B-side. Fuck me, it was awful. It was
Really?
terrible. But what was really good about it, the consensus from upstairs in the control room was like, yeah, maybe if we just concentrate on doing all the overdubs on the main track, Paul. 'Cause it was shit. I don't know why I'm whispering. It was shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that song was called?
No.
No.
No. I just remember the chords were C, F, and A minor.
See, there's so little information about the Help recordings, about the War Child recordings. So you were a Smoking Mojo filter, were you?
I was, yeah.
Tell us about that. That must have been amazing because I wish someone had kept the cameras rolling on that day.
It was funny because the workers, and when I say the workers, I mean me, Craddock, Weller, Steve White, Noel Gallagher, and Paul McCartney just got on with doing the recording. But as the day was going on, the control room and the live room was just filling up with loads and loads of hangers on. And like loads and loads of people who really, under a normal session, would be like, fuck, get the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Some of them are incredibly famous, like Kate Moss and Johnny Depp. But then loads of liggers and weirdos. And well, it's kind of bizarre. That is the only time I've ever seen Paul Weller nervous. Because normally people are nervous of him. Paul's face when we got the announcement, McCartney will be here in 5 minutes. Paul was literally like this, shaking with fear and excitement.
Wow.
It was really funny to see. Whereas I've always been of the opinion, well, I'm there and I'm there for a reason. And I always think it's quite funny. So I wasn't nervous at all.
Speaking of Oasis, you guys played over 100 shows supporting them in their 90s heyday. Can you share any stories or memories that have never been shared before?
Well, yeah, I could, but most of them would get either me arrested or Liam arrested. So, no, they wouldn't get us arrested. No, that's not fair. That's not fair. I remember once sitting on top of a tour bus going down the motorway in Switzerland with Liam, who was completely naked apart from wearing the Union Jack. But we were sitting on top of the tour bus as it was going down the motorway, me and him, which was probably not the most sensible thing to do. And then another time, it was always me and Liam, actually. And Bonehead occasionally were wearing shower caps running through a hotel in Norway. I don't know why we were wearing shower caps. It seemed like a good idea at the time. And then, okay, last Liam story. I hadn't seen him for ages and ages and ages. And then, it seems to happen in sort of Scandinavian countries. So I was in Norway with Ashcroft. Liam was on last, we were on before. I hadn't seen him for fucking ages. I'm standing at the side of the stage about to go on, and he bowls over doing his monkey walk, grabs the back of my head, kisses me on the gob, and says, Minchella, you fucking cunt, you still got it, you cool fucker, and walked off. So Liam is always Liam.
That's what everyone says about him.
Yeah, he is. And long, and he always will be, and bless him for it.
Well, something I want to read to you briefly is from one of Paolo's books. It's this one. It's Forever the People.
Oh, yeah.
After Oasis had played Birmingham NEC Arena, it says, at the hotel afterwards, Ocean Colour Scene's bass player Damon Minchella comes over for a drink. He triumphantly says to Liam, next week, The Verve will go in at #1 in the album charts. That means the charts, the top 3, will be Verve, Oasis, and Ocean Colour Scene. How about that? Phil Collins, you can fuck right off. And Liam goes, it's like the 60s, Beatles, Stones, and The Who. That must have been incredible because it was only Oasis, Verve, and Ocean Colour Scene really who were really right in the bullseye of what was seriously happening, not Britpop, but the indie rock movement.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny, actually, you should bring that quote up because it came up on my timeline on Twitter for some reason. So I just took a screenshot of it and sent it to Ashcroft, and who never replies when you text him, and he replied straight away with, like, is right, brother. And it's true and we weren't jealous of each other because, like Blur were always competitive and horrible, and they would have not celebrated that. They'd have been gutted they were number 4. Because Albarn would always have to be number 1. That's just the way he was and probably still is. But it's like we were chuffed that Urban Hymns was about to come out, and we knew it'd go into number 1. Because we were, even though we were disparate bands and different people, we socialised and we got on together and we shared the same sort of beliefs and general backgrounds. And we all felt like we were getting away with it, and like we'd invaded, the places we shouldn't be. If you think, the top three in the album charts was Oasis, Verve, and Ocean Colour Scene, which is basically Manchester, Wigan, and Birmingham.
What's Richard Ashcroft like as a person?
He's a dude, love him. Otherwise, I wouldn't work with him. I've known Rich for a long, long time. We were born in the same hospital, and then quite a few years ago, I just got a call saying, "Will you play with me?" Been thinking about doing an album for a long time, and he's like, "Do you want to play bass on it?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." The greatest performer and singer I've ever worked with, and a fabulous songwriter. But he's got the best voice on the planet of living singers. Totally.
While we're talking about Oasis, I heard a rumour that when Gwigsy left, following the massive row with Liam over something I think it was something in Paris, he just left before Earl's Court. I heard that you were offered to actually replace him in the band. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Because they got a guy in, I can't remember his name. I think he was a Scouser. He lasted for about 5 gigs.
Scott McLeod.
He's in the video for the one with the cello and the clown.
Wonderwall.
Yeah, and he jibbed it. I mean, I don't think he could stand the sort of limelight and pressure and whatnot. And then Noel and Liam basically wanted me to join. I said, "Look, let me think about it," because Noel said, "Look, you can be in the band, but you can't be married to anyone else." So basically, I'd have to leave my band and stop playing with Weller. And I did think about it for 2 weeks, but I thought, fuck that. I can't leave my band. After everything against all odds, we've got to this position where we've developed this thing between the four of us, for me to then walk away and just join another band. It was always down to Noel because he ran everything. If he'd said, "Yeah, great, but you can still play with Ocean Colour Scene, but you'll have to jib off Weller," I'd have said, "Yeah, okay." But yeah, so I turned them down. Not because I didn't want to be in the band, but through loyalty and sort of belief in what my band was doing, So yeah, I did. They asked me and I said no eventually.
Did you ever look back on it and think, right decision, wrong decision?
Oh yeah, totally the right decision. Yeah. Just to see then what happened with Oasis, and just see they really, even the band, by the time they were touring Heathen Chemistry, it was just basically a money machine. I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not in this. People change as well. Liam stayed the same. Noel certainly didn't.
Right.
I won't say anymore.
No, that's okay. I mean, Paolo Hewitt said something along those lines. I've literally never even met Noel, so I don't know the first thing. But
well, I mean, I did meet him again a few years ago when I was doing an Ashcroft thing, and he was lovely. But yeah, he kind of changed in the sort of strange way, whereas Liam was just the same kid but with more expensive trainers.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So you were on stage though with Oasis, I think, at the gig where they got up and sang Day Tripper with you guys. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. That was hilarious. I mean, the fact it was played on BBC Radio 1 breakfast show the next day, not even a proper recording, it was just the cassette from the front of house desk. Our front of house person just recorded it, and Chris Evans was like, "Give me that, I'm going to play it on the radio tomorrow."
Wow.
And then we only decided at soundcheck that we would ask them if no one knew the chords to Day Trip and Liam knew any of the words, and obviously they did. So we just did that as an encore. We'd never played it before. We just worked it out at soundcheck. It wasn't the thing we did. We just thought it would be a laugh. And we also were being a bit snidey because the first band on was a band called The Real People, who have a history of Oasis, because The Real People really helped Noel write the first album, but they never got credited for it. And if you dig a bit deeper, there's a lot about, did Noel rip off The Real People? To some degree, he may have.
Well, I'll get two more people up now, Chris and Tony from The Real People.
So we thought, wouldn't it be funny to get them, Noel, Liam, not Liam because Liam wasn't really anything to do it, Noel and the two main guys from The Real People playing together on stage.
The Griffiths brothers.
Yes, that was just our sense of humour. I haven't seen Tony and Chris for ages, but they're proper blues as well. So they really like them. Great lads.
Right, so just a couple more questions and then we're done. What is your favourite Oasis song?
Oh, flipping heck. That's a tough one. Well, it's definitely nothing off the later albums. Probably Slide Away.
Great choice. Great choice.
Yeah, probably Slide Away. Just because live, that was always the best one, I thought.
All right, so last question. For you, Damon, what was the number one Ocean Colour Scene gig of all time?
Easy. It was the 29th of October, 1999, Glasgow SECC, which I think is now called the Hydro. It's the big arena in Glasgow. It was just perfect. It was one of those moments where we were perfect. The sound on stage was perfect and the audience was perfect. Everything. There was nothing you could change. And it was also the first gig for a long time we'd all done straight as well. Which really helped, though. It really did. And it was like, oh my God, this is incredible. That gig, 29th of October, 1999, Glasgow SECC. It was utterly incredible. And one of my favourite bands, a band called Shack from Liverpool, supported, and they were awesome.
Well, Damon, thank you so much for
Pleasure,
today.
Dave.
That's been really interesting. I appreciate everything you've shared. And where can people find you on the socials?
On all of them, all of the main three, the very old one, Facebook, the slightly less geriatric one, Twitter. I'm on Instagram under my name. I'm Minchella Manning, and I will never move on to the other ones like TikTok and whatnot because, well, I'm 53. Come on. Well, they can get in touch on Instagram. Is probably the best way if anyone wants to ask me any further questions or whatnot, or just swear at me. It's fine.
Well, Damon, thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate
Pleasure,
it.
James.